What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Praise Podcast. My name is Eric Lade. So good to be with you here for episode number 11 of season 4, and it's going to be a great one. We're going to do some song spotlight stuff here in just a second, and then we have a conversation that we're going to talk about winter today, all things winter. That's really the only clue that I'm going to give, but just stick around so that you can know and see what we're going to talk about here in a little bit, because it's going to be good. But, Of course, I'm not going to have this conversation all by myself. No. That would be crazy.
That would be so crazy.
It would be
craziest.
It would be the craziest thing to think that you all would want to sit here and listen to me talk, because no, I have and am joined by the greatest co-host, the co-host above all other co-hosts, the Brooke Paninsky. And so, thankfully for you all, she is here to join in on this conversation today. Brooke, I'll say it. I'll say it for you. Brooke is not feeling the greatest, so if she sounds a little,
I feel and sound just the most sicky.
Yeah, she's over here like.
I was like, these poor people have to listen to me hack for an hour.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's all
right.
love.
They're all about it.
I'm thankful.
Thankfully for you all as well, we seem to be wearing matching crew necks today. So in the black, or well, at least not the same one. But representing the black. Last episode, we did a kind of a recap episode.
Are you about to talk about how your outfits are always the same?
Yeah. Well, so here's what I did. Here's what I didn't. So it's so true, and it is what it is, and I've owned it at this point. But as I was putting that together, one, I took snippets of, I don't know, there was like 5 episodes, maybe different episodes in there. What I didn't realize until I was watching it back through, there were the episode before, I had worn the same exact thing that I was wearing in the current episode that we were shooting in. And so it went from me in that outfit to me in current episode
in the same outfit.
Yeah. And so that was...
That's great.
If you're looking... So my birthday has passed, but, maybe clothes. Maybe clothes is what I need. Or, I don't know. It's really not that I have a lack of clothing.
No,
it's just
I
have a lack of desire.
I think Adrian would be like, you don't need more clothes or more shoes.
It's really just a lack of desire to get all that creative in the morning, I think, really with funny. what I'm going to wear. But anyways, it was in that moment that I realized all the crap that I get for that.
It's all right.
It's probably justified. It's all correct. It's all justifiable.
That's amazing.
It's all there. So anyways, but that being said, if somehow you've just now stumbled across this podcast, welcome. We're glad to have you. But we have like loads and loads and loads of other episodes that you should definitely go back and check out. One of those being maybe you've been with us, but you haven't just gotten with us on season 4 yet. Last episode 10, we did kind of a mid-season recap of some of the highlights from season 4 already, so that would be a quick way. I would always encourage you just to go back and listen to all the episodes, but if you're like, I just kind of want to know where they've been and I want to pick up from here, then that is a great way to catch up, and now you're with us. So that being said, we always want to encourage you to join us on Instagram. We always want to encourage you to join us by liking and subscribing here on YouTube. You can just hit that. I think it's like the thumbs up button, maybe. I don't know. Do you know what button it is that they hit?
I think so.
I think it's like a thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm not a big YouTuber, so I'm not a big subscriber.
That's also the issue.
Yeah,
with myself. I think it's a thumbs up. I don't know.
I think it's a thumbs up, and I feel like you can do like notifications for it or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. You're smarter than us. You guys can figure it out. You for sure are smarter
than me on all these things. So yeah, click that button. Follow us on Instagram, and of course we have our website, which is thepraisepodcast.com, and you can join in the conversation there. We always love to hear your feedback. So if you're looking for a way to send some comments about an episode, ask a question about an episode, or you just want to give your own thoughts about an episode, you can do that at thepraisepodcast.com. You can find resources, merch, all kinds of things on there, our favorites, and of course, our song Spotify our song spotlight Spotify playlist.
Oh, wow.
That's
going to be really fun.
That's something. So anyways, you can find that there, which is just a curated list of a lot of songs at this point, of just songs that we like, that we love, that we've listened to a bunch, that we think would be great for you to listen to. So
yeah, for
you
sure.
can find that there as well. Is there anything that we need to tell them or update them on before we get into our song spotlight?
I don't know. I didn't think about that.
You went to California recently. Is there anything quickly there you want to? What was the best thing you ate? These are the things I'm interested in.
Yeah,
trips to California.
I don't leave California until I eat at In-N-Out.
Yeah.
And locals probably think like, oh my gosh, why? But when you're from Southern Illinois, you don't have In-N-Outs just anywhere close.
Yeah.
It's just a treat. It's so fun. And so our last night there, we wrapped about 11 o'clock or something. It's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we made sure to go to In-N-Out, and we flew out the next morning. And it was the only time we could carve out. We were so busy. But I don't know. I always look forward to In-N-Out. And
what do you go to there? Double or?
No, I just get a cheeseburger, and I don't like tomatoes. So, of course, I always order without that. But I always get extra sauce. It's just my favorite.
Sauce is
the
good
dressing.
There. Yep.
Yeah, it's just yummy. And I had, the animal style fries that they have, but I don't like grilled onions, and it just was a no for me. Yeah, it was not good.
I have decided, I was actually talking to somebody else about In-N-Out literally this week. I don't remember. Oh, it was Chris Donahoe. They ate In-N-Out while they were in Texas.
Yes. Yeah.
But
they're at Mercy Culture.
I was telling him that I have decided that I think the thin smash burger style burger is my burger of choice.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I'd much rather have that than anything else. But anyways, it was a great week. And truly my favorite part about the opportunity to go and to serve in that capacity is just truly, truly, truly the people. And anyone who knows me just knows I'm not a natural girl's girl. And I'm not very good at being a girl's girl. And for this ministry, that's just all about being a girl's girl. I really just thought, Lord, what place do I have here? You really are going to grow me and stretch me in this. And I thought that even when I was a participant in the first round, I just thought I know there's a call here and I know I'm curious about it, but I'm but how is it going to be just being, with all these girls, you know? And it was amazing. And there was a lot about it that, I just was able to take away and that I enjoyed. But it's just so much fun on this side of it because I think there's the ages of women just are so broad. I remember the time before last, the youngest participant was 18 or 19 years old. And I want to say we've had women in their 70s or something participate. And so it's you just have this broad range of people. And it's definitely okay, let me clarify. And it's nothing against sororities. That's not what I'm saying. But that's just not my type of fun or companionship and friends. Okay. And then just let me be me. You do you. No judgment. Okay. But this is just not even that. It literally is this beautiful mentorship bucket of goodness. You just show up and you have all these people from around the world and in different seasons and stages of life, whether they be in ministry or whether they are in the marketplace. You just have so many people who love the Lord and are just hungry for him and have just this wide range of experience. And I don't know, just being able to be in a room with them for just a few days, and when you're just in breakouts or your small talk between lunches or whatever it is, it's just so filling. And the people I actually work with there are my favorite. Genuinely some of my favorite female humans in the whole world. They're incredible. Yeah. So anyways, I loved it. It was wonderful. Thank you for asking. Just traveling, it was great. I love SoCal. I really do.
Yeah. I enjoyed, I anticipated to not like California when I had been there.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I could live there.
Yeah, it's like, it truly is. And people always like, oh, Brooke, whatever. But like, I really just feel like what we're sowing there and, you know, round after round after round, there's just, I don't know. I think it's also because that you're sowing. No matter where you sow, you'll feel this way. But I think it's because I'm sowing there. It's just, there's a genuinely like a piece of my, like, it's like home, almost like it feels homey. Like there's a piece of me is just like, just has a special place in my heart, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I've never really, you know, felt that way about a location. That's just, I'm not that way. But yeah, it's the people. It's the people and it's what we're sowing. It just makes it worth it. Yeah, it's just so good. So anyways, it was great. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, I mean, I like I know I'm not a big like political guy, and so that stuff doesn't ever really play into anything. Sure. I know a lot of people rip on California for a lot of reasons, but I mean, I'm all about constant like 70 degrees and sunny. Like that is,
the weather's beautiful.
That is, and
that's
then
amazing.
to like have like the sound and the view of the ocean in the background. I'm like, how could you not?
Well, it's mountains and palm trees, and the weather's beautiful. I love people's like just even fashion and expressive creativeness. Yeah. Like it's all just so, and it feels so good because it's so much like me, you know what I mean? Like, and so it's just fun. My friend Rachel was saying, she's from, she lives in Canton or around Canton. But she's an Ohio girl. I don't know, that could also be wrong, but
she has to really
I love her.
Getting together then. She gets to leave
I would
Ohio
have to double check. Anyway, she's an Ohio girlie. I know that for sure. And, she is just the most creative, person, and she and expresses that so well, even in like her wardrobe and just fashion sense and everything. And she was like, yeah, it's just much easier to like be me in SoCal than it is in Ohio. And
I can
was
believe
like,
that,
you know, I
sure.
feel that
I
sometimes.
that.
Anyways,
well,
but
I remember, so fun fact, if you didn't know, so my dad owns a flooring store, okay? And so I used to work, it's family business. I grew up in this flooring store. And the thing they would always tell us is, like, basically, when things hit here, like, trend-wise.
It's already been and gone.
Like, 5 years ago in California. Like, basically, it works its way from the west. Like, there would be, like, I don't know, tile, for example, that we would get here. And then they would be like, oh, yeah, by the way. Or we're like, who, you know, this is in or whatever, and they're like, well, it's been in for the last 5 years in California, and so it's just now made its way this way here. So I don't know. That's true. It's in.
But anyways,
well,
that wasn't a very quick recap.
No, that's okay.
That's okay.
But I get what you're saying about a place too, because like I feel that way even just with like, you know, our time with Salty Farm and like Jail and Rochelle, like I mean, there's just like something about like I'm getting ready to head back down there.
It's like home in a way.
It's you feel
home away
connected
from home.
To
you
it.
You do, and again, there has got to be a lesson in that. But like it is just like what you sow and where you sow, like that. Just it makes a difference, you know, and. Yeah, but you have to think to be like sending church for our friends and then to partner with them and support them and how they sow for Salty Farm and PCB. It's like when we just go for a few days and, you know, you get to kind of help them or encourage them or whatever, and you get more comfortable with the trip again, but you're sowing there when you are there, and you're, you know, even when you're back home and you're still sowing there from a distance. And it's like, of course, there's just a spot of it that almost feels not territorial in a bad way, but just like, genuinely you're like, this is an important place to me, and I think it's because we sow there, you know, and we pray for it all the time, and so of course it feels just more personal than anything else. But
let's talk about songs.
Let's do it.
So I'll let you go first.
Okay. I know we've addressed this song in the past. For sure. Because we both were like, this song's so weird. Yeah. And like, you're like, but man, it's good. It is. But you're like, but I don't understand because, you know, like it's just so different, so strange. It's almost, I feel like I don't remember if we talked about it on the podcast or just in general, but it almost sounded like spooky. Yeah. Like you're like, no, it's kind of 100%. Eerie.
I felt bad. I think I said that. I felt bad after I said it because I was like.
Because you're like, I don't mean that in a bad way or demonic way. That's not what I
Yeah,
I mean? It just feels,
but
but there's almost like even like a holy eeriness to
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and not, and again, and not in a bad way, but it's just like, I mean, fear of God is real. And so it's
Yeah.
just kind of like, I don't know, maybe there's this like, oh yeah, I don't know. But it is When Wind Meets Fire by Elevation. And I was watching, anytime Carrie Job opens her mouth, I'm like, I want to hear everything you have to say. And she, unfortunately for me, is not like a social media person. Like, she's not one to share a lot on like Instagram or something. And so, like, whenever there's some kind of snippet of her out doing her ministry thing, I remember she was at like a church like a long time ago, and there was like a snippet from like this panel she was on, and it just went viral because I'm like, the wisdom and authority and anointing Carrie has, like, you don't have to know her to know that she has it, and to see the hand of God on her life. And when she does speak, you're like, I want to know what you have to say, like, and and it just comes across so trustworthy, you know. And so this happened. She was sharing, she was leading like some worship thing at Bethel, and I think it was Bethel. Anyways, doesn't matter. But they were leading worship, and she kind of paused, and she was speaking before they sang this next song, and she was kind of sharing like just testimony about it before they sang it or led it or whatever, about how she like listened to it over and over and over again, and like through this really trying season, yada yada, and they played it, and I was like, no way is this song, like, that's so crazy, like, because there's a part of it that is the only part of the song that I'm like drawn to.
Yeah.
It's like really the only reason I'd listen to it. And she was like making a point to say, like, when it got to that point of the song, she's like, then I was, you know, it's her favorite part or whatever. And there's just so much power there too. So if you haven't heard it yet, it's When Wind Meets Fire by Elevation. And some of the part that I'm talking about was, let's see where it starts. Our God is consuming fire. Our God is a holy wind. Whatever you speak is done, and whatever you touch will live. And when it gets to that part every time, I just like, yes and amen to that.
Yeah.
And like, you can just, again, sing that and declare that over and over and over and over and over again. Per circumstance, per bad day, per, you know, just worshiping in the car, whatever it is that you're contending for. It just like, it's just a good, when you say it with your mouth, it almost like lets your, I don't know, like your spirit man catch up, you know, like when you're feeling kind of just down or defeated or whatever. But just the promise of like, genuinely, whatever the Lord touches, like, it will live.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, he's a God of life. And anyways, but I just love that. It's been on repeat for me. And
That's the
it's
thing.
really grown on
Lyrically
me.
of that song is so
It's
good.
stellar.
So good.
And honestly, I don't even think it's like it doesn't even catch me super weird anymore. I'm just so used
No,
to it that
yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, it's just this good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yep.
So anyways, that would be my song.
Yep. It's a good one. All right. So I'm going with the album that just dropped.
Of course. As you should.
As I should.
As you should.
So we've been talking about it for forever, but finally, Belonging Co. has dropped their new album. It's called Eden, and so go check out the whole album. The song I wanted
No,
to...
literally the whole album.
I mean, the whole album.
The whole
Yeah.
album is our
Yeah.
song spotlight.
I mean, yeah, I could just say that. I mean, we've been waiting since like April or May for this. We were there at the live recording when they did this, and boy, it has been a test of patience for sure. But anyways, it's been fun to go back and listen to a lot of these songs that you were like, you knew you liked, but you just really haven't heard in so long. Yeah. But the song I want to do, I'm not going to do because I know eventually you're going to want to do it. And so I'll leave it for you. But there's plenty of other songs that I would say are on there that you should listen to. But the one it's just a fun one, I think. And it's called Good Times. And
oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah,
that one is so fun.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
I mean, lyrically, it's nothing crazy, but like vibe-wise. And I mean, the lyrics aren't bad by any means, but like vibe-wise, fun-wise, like it's just a like I put it on in the car today heading to work, and Bo was with me, and he was like, I really like that. Yeah, he was like, I like that song, you know, and it's
good for Bo.
And so it's catchy, it's fun, it'll make you smile as you listen to it. And so there's several like upbeat fun songs are not always common in the worship world, because I feel like we're all naturally, you know, you're more drawn to whatever slower
I
song.
just think I think it's just the fad right now, like the phase that contemporary Christian music's in, like church music. So I think it's fun to have an album that has so many like fun upbeat songs that are just like, I don't know, they're catchy, but they feel good. They don't feel cheesy, you know,
they're not
or
corny.
like radio
songs. Because a lot of those upbeat ones that you'll see, like people, you'll be like, that's not good.
But this album top to bottom is so good. I tuned in for one of literally for a solid 1 minute. I was on Alex Seeley's live, and just to see what she had to say, because sometimes she'll go live and it's just like random, and I don't know. She's like if I lived in Nashville, she'd be like my pastor. You know what I mean? So like, I just love her. And so she like went on Instagram really fast, but like, again, I just clicked on for a minute and literally heard her say that she was texting with a friend that works at what is it, CCLI or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Text Alex as like they're uploading and getting ready all this, all this stuff for their release. And she's like, Alex, like, song after song after song after song on this album is just hit after hit after hit after hit. I mean, like, I've not heard an album that good from top to bottom with such a catalog and like an array of like, I don't know, like it's just so different. Like the sounds are different, the vibes are different. Like they'll go from, they've got gospel vibes on there. They've got, again, you said your boppy, fun Christian, happy Sunday songs. And they've got like really powerful lyrical, like this is a good song for Easter.
Yep.
Like, I mean, they just have such an array. They've got, again, like even just that like slower, more like take your time. I don't know. I mean, it's incredible. But if you listen to the album, you'll know exactly what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite albums probably of all time.
I would say
Christian albums wise.
Yeah, and I feel like they kind of do this because their last album was kind of this way as well. But attending the live recording of it, it really was just like you felt like you were just in one big worship night set. Like everything just kind of flows from one thing to the next. Like it all makes sense. It all just like you could play the whole thing as a set list.
It was so good.
And it just works. And so, anyways, check
that
out.
That's enough of that.
But specifically, Good Times. If you're looking for a song to make you smile in the morning or after a long day, listen to that one. And that's that. All right. So I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
Because honestly, I've been thinking about this for it's been at least a week or so now. This is some different things from multiple different conversations have been swirling in my head. So let me set the scene, and then we can all
dive in.
Okay. So one, I've been thinking a lot about just winter and cold in general because I hate it.
Yeah.
Like I just am so. I don't know how you get diagnosed with seasonal depression or anything like that. And I don't even really know what all goes into that, but like,
you're like, I think I have it.
I think I qualify. Like, it is just like January is just the longest month of it's
cold
just
months are hard.
Eternal.
Yeah.
And luckily February is short, but like, and this winter we have just had
lots of
more snow than we are ever accustomed to getting. Like it has been like more times than not, you go outside, there is white on the ground, and there's just no color. And I love to be
dead.
Yeah, I love to be outside. Like that is like I love to just sit.
It doesn't
outside.
feel productive. It's hard to.
And so I like to mow. There's nothing about winter that I enjoy. And so like I've been in this kind of probably for the last, really since mid-January, I've felt blah. Like I've not felt all that motivated. I've not felt energetic. I've not felt like just not creative.
Someone's diagnosing you right now.
Yeah, somebody's like, oh my gosh, get this guy a hotline. But like, I've just been like, ugh, it's just.
It's a real thing.
Yeah, and so.
I don't mean to laugh or downplay that.
No.
It's a real thing.
And so, anyways, I've been feeling this way. I'm just like constantly like, can't wait for winter to be done. Can't wait for winter. Just get no more snow, no more. And then you'll get like this random 60-degree day, whatever. So I've had all this going on in my brain. So then the other day, we went on a trip to visit a church a couple hours away. And it was myself and John and a couple other people. We went, and they were touring and talking with some other people there. And I ended up kind of being one-on-one with the pastor of this church. And we were just talking about a lot of different things, and he's at a stage where he's about to retire and move on, and then so we got to talking for a while just about different things, ministry, all these things. He was one of those you could tell just like super wise men, and I don't know, I'm just drawn to people like that I know, like without even really knowing you, I know that you know more than me, and I want to know what you know, and so I started just kind of picking his brain, asking questions, and then everybody came back, and we kind of started having this overarching conversation. And the question was asked basically, like, hey, you're getting close to retiring, and this stage of ministry is ending, and you're getting ready to, go into a whole new season of life, and there's a lot of unknowns, and the way, things are ending, like it has the potential to be a really hard season for him, a very difficult time. And so just kind of the question was asked, like, has this been tough, or how are you doing? And he said this. He said, a long time ago, one of my mentors told me, I'm gonna pull it up because like as soon as he said it, I typed it because I was like, that is really good. But he said, don't take for granted your winter seasons. And I was like, And he said, winter is a really hard season for everything, right? Your vegetation, for humans, winter is a tough time. And then he said, the thing to remember about winter is everything gets tested in winter. And because he said like your home, it gets tested. Can it hold up to bad weather? Can it stay insulated? Plants, trees, they have to go into, whatever it is plants do in the winter, but, like the leaves disappear and they appear dead, but really they're just trying to, survive winter. Animals hibernate, they go into hibernation. It's just everything gets tested in winter. And so he said, don't ever take for granted your winter seasons. And so all of that was like, I was like, man, I could have sat and talked to him for forever. But anyways, so I wrote that down, and I was, that was rolling around in my head for a few days, just that whole conversation. And then I was at Cracker Barrel, and yeah, so I was at Cracker Barrel, and these people we know were there as well, and they came by our table, and we got to talking to them for a while about random things. And this person is a farmer, and I know nothing about farming. I know that by my appearance it would appear that I probably am a farmer, but I know nothing about it. And so he was telling me, though, because this was right before we were about to get another wave of snow, and he said that he was getting ready to go out, or I said something like, this is probably a quiet time of year for you, because it's winter. What can you do on a farm? He was like, well, I'm actually getting ready to go out and plant a bunch of seed. And I said, even with all this snow coming? And he said, yeah. He said, because basically the snow pushes everything, like it pushes everything deeper. So basically this idea of like all of this cold, nasty junk allows for all these things to get, basically the roots to get pushed down deeper than what they would be if you just tossed them out there at any certain time. So I was like, oh, I even had a term. I don't remember the term. But then with the conversation I'd had already, and then that, and I was like, man, so now you're like, roots can grow deeper, can get pushed down deeper during the winter than they can even in, spring, summer, fall, whatever. So all of those things led me to then say, I texted Brooke and I said, I think I've got our next podcast topic, because just this idea of winter, which in my mind is a pretty negative thing, not something I look forward to. It is, I would say I love spring, I love summer, I love fall.
Yeah.
I don't like winter.
I'm the same exact way.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just could do without it.
Yeah. I mean, like if we just skipped it, no big deal.
Yeah.
But, physical, actual weather seasons aside, I think there is so much more to this idea of, we are, whether you want to call it wilderness seasons, desert seasons, whatever, you could also refer to it as a winter season. But even just physically, as you go through winter, there is something to be said for living that out and not wishing it away, not taking it for granted, not not looking so far ahead to spring or summer and being like, if I can just get through this, then everything will be better. But there's actually, roots can go deeper. There's valuable testing that's happening. You can come out of it stronger if you embrace it. And so I don't know that I have necessarily a question, but more of just, that's where all of this is swirled from. So, I know there's probably people out there that are like, boy, I hate winter as well. And so basically maybe a conversation on, at least for me, a better attitude in these winter times, both actually and then, in life in general, and what can be learned, what can be taken away from these seasons.
Yeah, I think that's a really good a place to land and food for thought, and just to kind of sit with the Lord. And because so many people, like you said, I feel like could agree, like winter's just like not it, and I think to kind of approach it as the Lord created winter. Obviously winter serves a purpose, or the Lord wouldn't have made it so, and you do think, well, you did great 3 out of 4 seasons, Lord. Like, I don't know what you're thinking about winter, but to not waste your winter. And I think my first thought when Eric was sharing all that was like the winter season that like I'm in. And I was saying, I'm like, I obviously wasn't in these conversations or whatever. I'm like, but what it makes me think of, like personally, is sometimes winter can feel like, again, like just a dead season. And if we kind of, again, have the perspective of things are dead, they're dying, or like it's cold, it's miserable, or like you're just like counting down the days till the sun comes back, or counting down the days till it's warm again. And then you're like, I can finally be creative or feel productive or be outside, or like we waste away our winter. And then obviously then thinking, if the Lord made winter, then like, obviously he has great intention for it, great purpose for it. So how do we be a people to change our perspective, to let God teach us about winter, and then to be like, okay, how do we not waste our winter? And for me personally, like just being able to like reflect on all that and what that could mean to me. And it's kind of different, of course, but it just makes me think about like personal winter in ministry. And I think like it would have been back in the fall. I just was really tired and feeling the weight of like all the plates I was carrying, and, mom life and wife life and ministry life. And, it's all the same thing. And like my to-do list I keep on my phone, it's like, my to-do list includes all of them. Like there's not really anything separate from like ministry life and home life. It's just all together, and it's just who I am. It's my nature. And it just got to the point where it was just very overwhelming. And so then, I kind of sat with it, but ignored it a little bit, because you're like, well, you just got to get tough and you got to get through it. And, it's a busy season, and it'll pass. And then when it just got to the point where the Lord was just really like, you need to handle this now before you are forced to handle it later. And basically with like burnout, and, I feel like talking to everyone, we know what burnout is, but speaking specifically towards those who are in ministry, whether you serve consistently or whether you work in ministry, I feel like we hear the term burnout and we associate it with like something bad that has happened, or with bitterness, or like the aftermath of, whatever. And we have a lot of conversations about like the aftermath of burnout, or, or like how to heal from burnout, or like how to avoid burnout. But burnout has such this negative like connotation to it. I mean, of course, but it's like there has to be, like, I know I'm not the only one, but there has to be more conversations had about like when you just get tired and how to rest well when you feel like you're in a winter season in ministry, before you have to just immediately jump to conclusions about that something has to be wrong, or the call on your life has changed, or you must have been really hurt by someone or made bitter, and then now you're just whatever. And it's like, I feel like we have to do it we have to be healthy. We have to do the right way. Like it's normal and it's natural. It's part, I believe, just part about being human when you are like in the trenches of ministry all the time. I think you can, we're going to have to start having more conversations about this. We're going to have to start doing a better job just to like recognize like, hey, like I just need a timeout. I need a rest for a minute before like this gets bad, and it's like, and it be okay and everybody remain calm, like, and I don't know if I'm articulating that thought well, but it's like, I can be tired. I can feel unmotivated. I can feel like, oh, I just don't really want to lead this weekend or next weekend or the 5 weekends after. Like, I'm just not interested. I have nothing left to pour out, whatever. And I can do that and still not question the call in my life. I can do that and still not think like, oh, I'm just so far away from God. Like, no, like you're literally just tired. And but let's handle it well now. Let's do what we can with the Lord now, just to get some well-needed rest, to be able to just like, again, hibernate for a second, to then come back into it like fresh, ready to go. And it's no drama. Like nothing's wrong. Everything's great. It's all fine. Like it just, literally like, let me take a quick time out and I just need to rest for a second and then I can get right back in the game. And just normalizing that without jumping to conclusions that someone is like, something's really wrong, and I'm just talking too much about it, and I don't know that I'm doing a good job explaining it, but I feel like that to me is how I relate to like this idea of a winter season, and letting it not be one that we go to waste, because I could have, in the fall and like through December, I mean, of course, Christmas at Central, January, even through February, just like really taking time to just like taking a time out just to rest, and like being like, and knowing literally everything's fine. Like, no, like nothing's wrong and nothing's changing. It's just rest. And I don't think people are used to people in ministry just being like, no, I'm great. I love my church. I know this is the call of my life. I don't have permission to, or I'm even seeking to like leave. Like I've just got a lot to carry and I'm just really tired right now. And give me just a minute to like rest and hibernate for a second. And then like, I'll be right back. Hold on just a minute. And then like having the time and space to let your people do that if you're like in leadership, and to not overreact about it, and just to be like encouraging about it. It's like, again, doing Sabbath well, like, or sabbatical, doing it well. And it just has this, when we rest well, it's just a quick timeout. Let me catch my breath. And then like, I'll come back like with more energy and, just again, fresh creativity and all the fruit that comes from rest, in a way to do winter well, if that makes sense. So anyways, that's just my food for thought for all that.
No, that's really, there has to be, which I don't know, we could go down this rabbit hole if we want, but there is because you're right, we talk about burnout, you hear the word burnout, and it's just all negative. You know, like it's again like all the reasons you said. You know, like, oh, you've clearly been overworked, or you've done this, or you've done that, or you haven't done this, and you know you're in this spot. And like you said, you know, I mean, sometimes you just get tired, and sometimes you just need a breather. You know, it's life in general is such a marathon of a race that, you know, I don't know that much about running a marathon, but I know that, you know, the pace you keep is important to get to the end. And there are times when, you know, if you've just come out of a 3-mile sprint in the middle of that, then odds are if you don't slow down, you're not going to finish running that marathon. You know, you've got to get back to a pace that you can run. And so,
and it's healthy. Like, and slowing down, I think we can associate that with like losing progress, or, you know, like doing a worse job, or, you know, like again, bad. And it's like, no, like just re-regulation, you know, like it's just coming back to a spot that, you know, that's healthy and that's good. And that what I need to be running for right now at this leg of the race and or this season. And, you know, and again, like people, which maybe I should just like, if you're not from Central, like you're probably like, what is she talking about? But like, if you are like part of our church family and you're here or whatever, like you literally been asking the question, like, where are you guys? You know, like for, you know, two of us who are on stage every weekend, the last few months, like especially after Christmas, we've really taken intentional time to like literally just rest. And January was not my rest month. February was supposed to be. And January, there was so much sickness in my house, and then the crazy weather, like winter storms and like all this stuff. Like I had to end up missing a lot more work than like I had originally planned for. But it was amazing because it was like God giving me more rest. And then again, February was my scheduled time to really be kind of like MIA for a second, just to kind of pull back and like be fresh for the next quarter. And we literally have people ask, like, is something wrong? You know, like where is she? Or like, where are they? And like, but like, you know, of course, Eric's leading in Carbondale and helping because like, again, their people are on a trip, resting, filling up, doing whatever. And anyways, it's just like people's assumption was immediately to think that something was wrong or like, you know, whatever. And it's just like, no, like, I love my church and I love my pastor and I love my coworkers and I'm thankful for the call of my life. And I'm just really tired and I just need a second. And I know it sounds so simple, you know, to a lot of us, but there are also so many people who genuinely, that's the last thought that, oh, she's probably just tired. Like she's got 10,000 kids and a million plates to juggle. Like it's always, and I think it's a cultural thing, especially with Christians and how we talk about burnout, how we've experienced burnout, how we've seen the side effects of burnout. But it's almost like this, like before all that happens, like that stage, you know, of just kind of like, how do we do that well? The winter, like winter comes before burnout. And it's like, if you don't do winter well, I feel like, then you can get like the yucky fruit from it. But if you do winter well, when you rest and hibernate when you need to, or you pause, or you this or you that, or, you know, how you're just methodical and thoughtful about how you're planting and when you're planting and recognizing when snowstorms are about to come and how it can be used for your benefit. And how, like, it's just when you're more thoughtful about it and you don't waste your winter, like that's the spot in conversation where we're at, you know, and like how I think in ministry, we can normalize like just people needing to take a minute, you know, and recoup for a second and repace themselves, and that's literally like celebrated, and it's like, oh, great, easy peasy, you know, like see you in a few weeks, you know, or whatever it is, and I feel like that's just that frame just feels like of time feels so small, and maybe that's why we don't think about it, because a lot can happen if we do that small winter season, if we don't do it justice, if we waste it, if we don't do it well or right, like we don't get like I don't know, like the beautiful spring fruit that, you know, winter produces, but instead we get burnout. And so
that's what I thought that was so interesting. And again, there's probably somebody that farms out there that's like, yeah, you dummy, that's that's common sense, but it's not to me. But like, that's what I found so interesting about even just that concept of, yeah, the snow can really benefit us because the weight of it helps us get this seed deeper, which makes the roots deeper, which then gives us that sets us up for better success.
Better harvest.
A better harvest come spring, summer, fall. And I think there are portions of that just really, I think from a spiritual sense, just really resonated was let the heaviness of this winter season force you, like it will push you down deeper. And then, what could that do for your relationships with God? The time that if you allow that weight to grow you deeper, to push you deeper, to get some more solid roots, imagine the fruit, imagine the success that you can see come spring, summer, fall because of what you allowed to happen, what you allowed to be done in winter. And I think there's some of that of like the rest of that, like that seed is literally just getting tossed down and then it's sitting there. It's not like the seed is doing it. It's not even like the farmer is really doing anything. He's just planting it at the right time and then allowing all the aspects of winter to do its thing to take that down. And so I think sometimes we think to get stronger, to get deeper roots, that involves us doing a whole lot of things, when in reality it was really just
trusting the process,
being in the right spot at the right time,
Yeah.
and then trusting the process that it will do, and then allowing it to do what it needs to do, and then now come the coming months that will turn into something.
Yeah, and I truly think that so many people, and it's so normalized in our culture, kind of like what I said before with like pacing back, scaling back, getting to a spot of rest, even as your family. Like if your kids are in all these sports, or you have all these plates to juggle, or you have all these commitments you've made, people will say, look, when you start to like pull back on that, or we'll say, well, we can't uncommit to it. Like, especially with, again, as parents and our kids being in sports, and if that's something you're really passionate about, for, the good of your kid or whatever, future plans they have or all this, all of that. But like, I'll tell a story, which is why I'm thinking about this. But it's like, if there's a season where you're like, as a family, we need to repace ourselves. Like as a family unit, we need to scale back. And we've talked about it before, but the things to scale back on, be prayerful about that. But like the last thing you want to scale back on are the fruitful, godly things, or that anything to have to do with this house, and I'll preach on that till the hill burns down. Like I'm very passionate about that. But like, I was listening to a podcast, and her kid is just like this really, really gifted. She's got 6 kids, and one of her sons is like a really, really, really gifted soccer player. And he was at this stage in high school where like if he missed a season, it was like a big deal, and it was going to be like, oh, but what about the scouts, and what about college, and like that's thousands of dollars, and da 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 da. And she was just like, I believe the Lord is telling me like we are to rest right now. And she was like, and I will trust Him with that and in that and for that, and I'll be obedient because I know He said to rest. And so their whole family in so many ways scaled back and pulled out of sports, pulled out of all these extracurriculars, different like things that they were in charge of or managed or were a part of, like they just went on a waiting season. And so many people looked at that as foolish, but God looks at that as wisdom. He says rest is wise, and He made rest to be so beneficial for us. And, she just goes to tell the story. She's saying like, the lady she does the podcast with, she was just like, we can do everything, but we can't do everything all at once.
Yeah.
And so, like, when is it that we're at a season, whether it be with work or our families or, ministry, where, we've got to scale back, and it doesn't have to be detrimental. It doesn't have to be an uncommitment. It doesn't have to like ruin the trajectory of someone's life just to have a season of rest. And, this kid is literally like still a talented collegiate athlete, traveling, doing all these things, whatever. Yeah. And the season of rest did nothing but help him. And we just in our nature think, oh, it's going to like put us way back. And so I was reading in Galatians in chapter 6, verse 9 is what came to mind when thinking about this. But it said, so let's not get tired of doing what is good. At just the right time, we will reap a harvest of blessing if we don't give up. So many of these things that we're involved in and that we're doing like are good, and they're not bad things. And so, we get to these winter seasons where we think like something has to give, but let's rest well. And like, let's not give up on it, but let's just take a minute and like time out, And again, like I think with the harvest idea of what we've been talking about, and just to not give up on the call. Don't give up on the ministry side of it. Don't give up on the kingdom, mindset of why we're living and why we're doing what we're doing and why we're sowing what we're sowing, and through the hard seasons and all these things, like, never get weary of doing what is good. So if we're starting to get weary, then let's have the wisdom to just rest. Don't panic. Don't, people will panic, or people will literally like wonder, like, are you okay? Or like, are you mad at God? Or like, are you leaving the church? Or like, what did your pastor do to you? Like, there's always some kind of something. And all you have to say is just, no. Like, everything's great. Like, I'm just really tired, and the Lord's called me and my family to a season of just rest for a minute. It could be a week. It could be of just canceling everything. It could be a month. It could be a whole season of just, let's change our pace here. But we can never grow weary for, doing what is good. At just the right time, we'll reap the harvest. So, like, if we really want to be good, like, that's good stewardship too, just to have the wisdom to know, like, when to kind of, again, slow down, change our pace. And then when we feel the permission and the okay, and like when we get to that spot where we're like, all right, time to go again, So I don't know. That's just food for thought. Those are just, I'm not saying that that's like the end all be all for everyone, but at least I can speak for myself. And like, that's definitely like where I've been for the last few months. And I'm so thankful that the Lord just like helped me do it in a healthy way. And there's a lot of wisdom in that, I think, even as a leader, and when your people have to do that. And yeah.
Well, and I think there's, like you've said, is I think we get in those spots, or we get those feelings, and it's so easy to freak out.
Yeah.
And it's easy to overreact, and it's easy to assume, because I think we are so, longevity is not a thing that we necessarily, I don't know, it's weird, because it's like, I feel like our society, culturally, we're all about people who do things well for a really long time, but we're not really into the longevity and commitment that it takes to actually get to that ending point, And so it's like, I feel like people are very easy to, as soon as that first little twitch comes, or that first little like, ooh, I don't know about this, then it's like, well, it must be time to move on to something else.
Yeah.
Or what God is wanting me to do here must be done.
Yeah.
So I need to, it's time to go elsewhere, or I'm not feeling fed here, or I'm not feeling fulfilled anymore, or what, I don't even really love what I do at the moment now. And so now it's like, that must all
like
be
I'm feeling
signs.
uninspired, so I must be,
it must be time
to
go on, And not that can't be the case,
Sure.
But I think we're always so quick at the first little thing to say, all right, that's God. He's telling me to go, or he's telling me to quit.
And he's like, no, it's just winter.
And he's like, no, it's just it's a 3-month season that isn't a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, praise God for that.
But that's what it is. And so, let's do the things in these next 3 months. So for the next 9, we can bear the fruit that is coming, with the light that's coming at the end of the tunnel. And that's, talking about kids, like even, my 9-year-old daughter is already figuring this out. And I always believe kids are much smarter and better at a lot of things than adults, just because they're not as prideful and stuck in their ways as we are. But, they
don't overthink it.
They don't overthink it. But, there's never been anything other than piano. Piano is the only thing that I make her do, because that is something that for the rest of her life will serve her. But, anything that she does, we don't make her do anything.
Like extracurriculars.
Extracurricular.
Yeah.
Like as far as if she wants to play basketball or softball or soccer, whatever, anything like that, it's always been either she will come to us and say, I want to do this, or, you get the email saying, hey, it's time to sign up for this. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? If she says no, that's great. Trust me.
That's very great.
We're A-okay with that.
Yeah.
But if she wants to do it, we've always said, like, if it's
Also
something
great.
you want to try, we will do our best to make it happen for you. She is one of those people that, she likes the socialness of things, and she just likes to do things. So she's one of those people that rarely is there something she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
There's only been like
she's the best.
Yeah, there's only been a couple things. Like there was a time where she was like, "Don't ever sign me up for that again." I think it was soccer or whatever. She's like, "I don't ever want to do that again. Don't ever even ask." We're like, great, perfect. But which now I think she's
doing
second guessing that or wanting to second guess that. But anyways, she does dance, and she wants to do competition dance. And so, we limit her on the number of that she can do, but we let her do that. But she has found, and kind of like you were talking about, limiting, sometimes you need to limit things, but don't limit the good things.
Right.
And so she has had her first moment of like, oh, wait a minute. So she has a dance competition on the same day as we do a conference for 2nd through 3rd graders at our church, or 2nd through 5th graders, and it's a ton of fun. They love it, but she has a dance competition that same day, and I told her, I said, we'll sign you up because you never really know when they're gonna go. She only does a couple dances, so sometimes you get lucky, they knock them out early, and you're golden. Sometimes it's not the case, but I said, we'll sign you up, but you've committed to a team of other people that, you can't really leave them high and dry. And so if you want to do this, like we got to stick to that. And she came the other day and she said, hey, I don't know if I should keep doing this. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? And she said, well, it feels like it's getting away in things I think are more important. And so it's kind of that first, first moment where she's even, starting to realize
internalizing that. Yeah, really. Like, what is it? Because there's a cost, really, always, and I think it's so true. And we have to weigh the cost. Yeah. And the Lord, and it just feels so, things that just matter so much to us, like, are not the most important thing to the Lord. And I think that's sometimes hard because he does care about what we care about. He loves us. But, I don't, like it had to have pleased him that she again is like, well, if it's cutting back from like what I get to participate in like church and in youth group, like, is that really worth it? And a lot of Christian families like wouldn't say that. And to each their own. This is not a podcast to like talk about your extracurriculars with your kids. But again, we have our own convictions, and I feel like I can't imagine the Lord was just not not just completely pleased with Blakely's posture to be like, I don't know. I think I would rather cut back on dance if it means I'm missing what I really want to do at church. So I don't know. There's just food for thought. There's lots of food for thought in this podcast. So good topic.
But yeah, all that to say,
Great
there
food
is
for thought.
a lot of good.
So
if you have been like me, and you have been cursing the last several months of winter, one, spring is on the way, but two, let's. I'm going to do my best to reposture myself in these remaining weeks of winter, to sit with God and ask Him, what are the things that I can learn? What are the things that I can be doing that will push the roots deeper? That the testing that maybe I'm in that I need to pay better attention to, so that I can come out into spring more fruitful, stronger, better roots, and ready to roll into whatever the pace is that I need to be able to run for the coming months and years ahead. And so hopefully that encourages you. Hopefully that maybe says you're not alone in that. Hopefully that if you are somebody that is feeling, like Brooke has said, just tired, even you want to call it burnout. Like that's what it is. Like it's okay to say that. It's okay to speak that. It's okay to have that conversation with your boss or with your family. I was really glad. I mean, I told Brooke when we first started having this conversation, and she told her I would much rather figure out what rest looks like in the coming weeks, months, whatever it is, to ensure that we're set up for success in the coming years than say grind it out, figure it out, and then in a few months we're in an even worse spot where then, it really is detrimental burnout and things. So I would encourage you to if it is a workplace thing, then to talk to your boss about it or talk to whoever your leader is in charge of that, because I would almost guarantee they would much rather have you for the long term than keep just beating you down or keep just causing you to go through the same things that are making you more and more tired just to have a few more months. And then, then the thoughts of, do I really want to do this, or should I be doing something different, or do I need to do something different, starts to come, and then that sends a whole different thing. So I would encourage you, or like if Brooke was talking about, if it's a family thing where you need to reset the pace of your family, then I would encourage you to have the conversations there, to sit down with your spouse, your kids, depending on maybe the age they're at, or even, like I said, my 9-year-old's starting to get it. So maybe that's, just to sit down with them and help teach them. This is an opportunity to teach them what does running at a, sustainable, healthy pace look like even for them. I mean, I think that's a part of parenting, is helping them understand. Although we want to do everything, maybe we can't do everything. And so, there's a lot of good, fruitful conversations that can come, I think, from this topic. So hopefully this will encourage you, to give you the help that you need. Or like I said, we always will say, use this podcast as an awkward conversation starter. If you're looking for a way you want to have the conversation, but you're not sure how to get it started, send them this podcast and say, hey, I watched this, or I listened to this podcast, and they said some things that really have my mind working and thinking about. I'd love for you to listen to it, and then maybe we can go grab coffee and talk about it, and that gives you a chance to maybe open up about some of these things. But all that to say, we appreciate you joining us. We appreciate you listening, and we would love to hear from you. So join in the conversation. Go to thepraisepodcast.com. There you can leave a comment, which will go to our email. You can send that way. You can directly email us, eric@thepraisepodcast.com or brooke@thepraisepodcast.com if you'd rather do that. But you can join in the conversation that way. Go over to Instagram. We're on there, The Praise Podcast. You can, I believe that's called a DM. You can send one of those.
Good job.
Man, whoo, at my hip. But you could message us on there if you want, and join in the conversation that way as well. And then, of course, you could always just leave a comment right here on this. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment right here. Really encourage you to like and subscribe on YouTube. That way you'll get notified. As Brooke was saying earlier, that's a perk of doing that. You get the notifications of when we have new episodes released and out, so that you don't ever have to miss one of these exciting
real professional too.
Real professional.
Hey, we love y'all.
We do. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And so, as we always say, let's be people every day in every way that bring the praise. We will see you next time.